Shut that door.
What is going on, guys? Glad to have you here on a Thursday night. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Let me know if you can't. Let me know that the video and everything is going through nice and loud and clear. We got NC Relic Hunter in the house with us tonight. Michael, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good. Hope everybody else is.
Oh,
You
yeah.
doing all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. Doing great. Trying to get this work week done. We had to move to a Thursday night. I hope everybody is good with that. I've got to travel with my team this weekend. So just worked out that we could do it on a Thursday night. Hopefully you guys are okay with this. And we really, really, really appreciate every single one of you being here tonight. We got a special show tonight. We're going to share a couple of things, talk about a couple of things. And, as always, just enjoy being together, hanging out, having a good time, talking metal detecting, talking about program settings, equipment, all kinds of stuff, and what's going on in the metal detecting world. So, with that being said, it looks like we got a lot of people flowing in here tonight, Michael.
Yeah.
Let's run through and give a couple of shout outs. Iffy Signals is in here. He got here early. Now, I don't know whether he's still in here, but hopefully he is. And Iffy is in the house. Glad to have you, Iffy. Joe Dirt is here as well. Glad to have him. He got here a little bit early. Better to be late or better to be early than late like we were just then. But I was trying to put together a pretty cool finds PowerPoint that I'm going to share with you guys in just a few minutes. Wild here is with us. Glad to have you, Wild, here. Mr. David Frazier. Glad to have you, David, as always. Digging Dirt's always in here with us. Glad to have Digging Dirt. Dirt Devil Detecting in here. Glad to have you. My man, Prospectors Cash. Really appreciate you being here tonight, Prospectors Cash. Enjoyed your live stream the other night. Michael, enjoyed Prospectors Cash live stream, didn't we?
Yeah, I think he went on a hunt today. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he said he was. I think that was on Wednesday night when we talked to him. So I think he went on a hunt. So maybe he'll share what went on there. Don't Tread on Me. Got some good finds by Don't Tread on Me that we're going to share in a minute. Carson Chris, as always, in here with us. Digging with Dad. Glad to have you in here, Digging with Dad. David Moss is in the house. Glad to have you, David. Double G Diggs is in the house with us tonight. Glad to have you, Double G, from Central Florida. Appreciate it. Bells, as always, is here with us. Love having Bells in here. LC Hunt, another great supporter of the channel. Love having him in here. Ricky Bennett in here as well. There's Iffy is with us. Hey, Iffy, glad to have you, buddy. And Mr. Damian Thorne's in here. Glad to have you, Damian. And Mr. Joshua Sipes. Glad to have you, Josh. And Josh makes a great lanyard for your pinpointer. If you're interested, you can ask Josh. I'm sure he'll be glad to share his information about getting one of those great lanyards for your pinpointer, and it's high quality stuff. And I have one, and Michael has one too. So always glad to have him in here as well. So, Michael, tell us about your week. What's been going on with you?
Just making it through the work week. It's been cool here in the mornings. We hadn't had a frost yet, but I don't think it's going to be too much longer. We've got down in the low 40s anyway. It's felt good.
Right. And it's been cool here too. It makes me want to get out, but unfortunately I got a job, Michael.
Yeah.
I have to teach high schoolers every single day. So that tends to limit my ability to get out and detect during the week. But man, it's been a great week, and ready for the weekend. Ready for some fall weather, which I think we're starting to see in a lot of locations. Hopefully, a lot of you are seeing the same things in your areas. And hopefully some of you are able to get out, even though Michael and I might have not been able to get out during the week. Maybe you've been able to get out and make some really cool finds. So with that being said, Michael, you ready to see some really cool finds by some of these guys that are on here right now?
I'm ready. Yeah.
I am too, because there were some good ones, by the way. There were some really neat things shared with us. So we're going to take a look at those finds. So here we go. So these are some of the finds that were shared to me. And if you're interested in sharing your finds with me, you can always email your finds down at the bottom, sransc@gmail.com. And we can get your finds up here on the channel. We love sharing what you guys are doing. We love hearing the stories as well about how you found them and so on. So again, if you're interested in sharing your finds and maybe we can get them up on the next week's show, email sransc@gmail.com. So these are some of our finds from some of our followers from this past week. So we're going to begin with Don't Tread on Me metal detecting. This is a beautiful buckle. Michael, look at this buckle that Don't Tread on Me found.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
That
it's
is
in
super
great shape. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can still see a lot of the design on this, and he's on here, and maybe he can share a little bit of information about this buckle if he looked it up or knows a little bit more about it. But he shared this with me. I wanted to share this. 662's in the house. Glad to have you, 662. We appreciate you so much being here with us. And check out 662's channel. We talked about Prospectors Cash. Don't Tread on Me has a channel too, so we're glad to promote anybody that comes on here and joins us. We're glad to promote them too, as well as Iffy and some of the others. So definitely check out their channels as well. But here's Don't Tread on Me's metal detecting. Beautiful colonial buckle here. And I'm jealous. I've never found a complete intact buckle, so a colonial buckle like this. So I'm pretty jealous of this one. Don't Tread on Me. How about you, Michael?
I found pieces of them. I've never found a complete one. I found half of one.
Right. All right. And he says it seems to be silver plated, but still it's pretty. Oh my gosh, it's a pretty buckle. So I'm really jealous of that. Don't Tread on Me. And I checked out your channel too as well. Subbed his channel. And he's got some great videos, some great finds on there. So check him out. We really appreciate him and his support to our channel as well. Chris is in here. Chris is also a big supporter of the channel. Glad to have you in here with us, Chris. Appreciate you so much. Wisco Detect, I don't think Wisco Detect's in here tonight. But anyway, he shared all of these finds with us. And there's some beauties. He's got a couple of really nice silver coins, a lot of rings, a lot of jewelry. You can see he's found some really cool stuff. Wanted to share his stuff. Wisco Detect is a wonderful supporter of our channel, and we love sharing what he's finding as well. But here's some finds from Wisco Detect. Really cool stuff, and looks like he's killing it, and he's killing it with the Deus too, just like many of us are. So glad to share Wisco Detect's finds. And there you go from Wisco Detect. And he shared these with me after the live stream the other night. So glad to share his finds as well. David Frazier says, nice. And we really appreciate Wisco Detect sharing those finds. Yeah. And I don't think he's on here. I wish he was here because those are some outstanding finds. There's a lot of good finds, aren't they, Michael?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that is super job there. And then Mr. David Frazier, who is on here, look at this beautiful peace dollar that David found. And David might want to tell us what he was using on his Deus too when he found this. David, I know you're on here, so share that with us. But look at this beautiful peace dollar that he found with his XP Deus 2. And Michael, you ever found a peace dollar?
No, not a peace dollar. I think, yeah, let's see. I did if I found a Morgan dollar, but I hadn't found a peace dollar.
Yeah, I love a peace dollar. It's just a beautiful coin. The design of it's just so unique, and they didn't make these for very long either. Mainly in the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coin. I have found one, and boy, you talking about blow your eardrums off, Michael. This thing will blow your eardrums off.
Yeah, if you're not watching it, you'll mistake it for a can and walk
I
past
know
it.
it could be a can. Now look, and I've learned my
Right.
lesson about that because Calabash got me one time really, really good on that. Oh, okay. Look what David Frazier said. He was using the Teaches Sweeper program. David, thank you so much. And again, we've talked about the settings and things for that program. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback from a lot of you, and I really appreciate all the nice compliments and sharing the finds. And David Frazier knocked it out of the park with this beautiful peace dollar. I would love to dig another one of those too. So that is a beautiful coin. Congratulations, David. That is an awesome find, buddy. Really, really, really nice there. So very nice find. And then Mr. Calabash Theater. Even though Calabash ain't on here with us tonight, yeah, don't tread on me, said David. That's some serious chunk of silver goodness. It is. That's a big coin too, guys. So anyway, very, very, very nice. But Calabash, even though he's not on here with us tonight, we're trying to get Calabash on here. He's been out doing a lot of diving. He hadn't really been doing a lot of land hunting lately. But Calabash went out diving and he found all these bottles the other day. And I just wanted to share his finds because he's a big supporter of me. He's basically helped me along the way. He and I have sort of worked together for a very, very long time. And of course, he's worked with Michael too. But wanted to share Calabash's bottle finds. And he's got some exquisite bottles, some straight sided Cokes, some Hutchison bottles in this mix. Very, very nice bottles. And just super, super fun. So excited for Calabash because he loves this diving stuff. And I'm glad he's doing it. Michael, you want to go diving with Calabash?
Um, I don't. I want to stay away from the alligators. I think he he dives in that dark water. I don't know if I can handle that, but I mean, I wouldn't mind trying at one time, but I don't know
Right.
how.
I don't know that I like the dark water either. I guess I would be sort of claustrophobic. He's taken me down with him a couple of times. Like I've held on to him and put some weight on me and we sort of went down towards the bottom. I just did not feel comfortable doing that. And I guess that takes some getting used to. And there may be guys on here that are divers that enjoy that sort of thing. But for me, I don't know that I could do it. But these are some beautiful bottles, some rare old bottles that you rarely ever see. And he's having a ball doing that. He spent like 2 or 3 days doing this. So congratulations to Calabash. And we wanted to share his finds as well. We got one. David, listen to what David said about his coin. He says, my pinpointer did not pick it up, so he covered up the hole and then said, I better dig deeper. Almost left it there. David, I know not. So, and I'm glad David said this because this is one of the things that we've been pointing out about how deep sensitive full tones is. I mean, it's deceivingly deep, deeper than probably any program on the XP Deus too.
Well,
So
that happened to me the other day, David, and Brian. Brian saw that. It was
yeah.
a Rains guide, and I mean, it was how deep you think it was, Brian?
Oh my gosh, it was a good maybe 15 inches deep. It really was. And again, he was using the same program and
Right.
that sensitive full tones, it is a deep program, isn't it, Michael?
It is. It really is.
Right, it sure is. And Wisco is now on here with us, and we just shared your finds, Wisco, a few minutes ago. But a lot of people realize you're on here with us now. And Bell says congratulations on those nice finds. So we got a lot of people on here. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, Calabash did. He found some very, very, very nice bottles. Josh says he used the sweeper the other day and it was finding targets in some tough ground. Thank you so much, Josh. We love to hear that. Again, like I said, the goal of this channel is to try to help and help promote, what you guys are doing, give you some things that you can try. And again, I'll be the first one to admit some of these things may not work in certain areas. You may dig a little more iron. I'll be honest with you, but the payoff for it may be well worth it. So, Josh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Prospectors Cash, thank you for the donation. As always, we really appreciate you. And we love your channel as well. And thank you for the donation. Again, all donations go right back into the channel. And Michael can tell you, I just bought a new camera. I didn't get a chance to hook it up tonight, but we're looking forward to sharing some stuff with that new camera. So again, all these things go right back into the channel. So we really appreciate you guys sharing that with us. Tesh Ridge Digger says, how do I get notifications about upcoming? You can usually hit the bell on my channel that should notify you, or if you see the video pop up, you can select the bell. It should be in the upper, I get confused. The upper, I think it's the upper right-hand corner. Just click on the bell and it should give you a notification of knowing when we're doing live streams. And that would be great. Underground Metal Detecting. Love your channel on TikTok, Underground Metal Detecting. I've watched a couple of your videos. You're doing really good. Love what I'm seeing from you. So awesome job there, buddy. BK says, I did 4 years in the Navy submarines, but I will never go scuba diving. So, hey, BK is agreeing with us too, Michael.
Yeah. I mean, Calabash is pretty brave. A lot of the places they dive because it's
right.
I mean, he is.
Tesh Ridge Digger says that he believes that the relic program is the deepest. And we've tried them, maybe, but we haven't really experimented with the relic program that much. But I'm telling you, sensitive full tones is deep, isn't it, Michael?
It is.
Yeah.
It's one of the deepest programs on that machine.
I think so too. And Josh is agreeing with us. He says, I'm pulling lots of deep targets with sensitive full tones. Doug Atkins says, I use sensitive full tones more than anything. Right. And you know what's so funny? And we said this last weekend, and we'll probably say it again, but it's got the 1.0 filters, the filters that were causing everybody so much trouble in the beginning. And now we're all gravitating to the one that still has the 1.0 filters on it. And I think that's what's so interesting about all of this, isn't it, Michael?
Right. Well, they kind of delayed that update for a while and they worked on it. So, I mean, it kind of makes me want to go back and take a look at 1.0.
Yeah. Who knows? So Josh said, for those of you that are trying to get notifications, he says, hold the bell down and select all notifications. So hopefully if you're not getting a notification for our live streams and for our videos, please select that. I would greatly appreciate it. Please hit that like button too. Again, it helps with the algorithm. So we're so glad to have each and every one of you here, and we don't want you to miss a show for sure. 662 says, literally just turned my machine off. I've been playing with the bird dog program, and so 662 has been out hunting, and we're glad that he's been out there testing out some new stuff. David Frazier says, yes, what you said in your recent short about iron, I used to run away from it also, but not now. That's it, David. That's what we love hearing, that you guys are going out and using some of the things we share on the channel and taking them out into the field and having a lot of success with it. And that's what my channel is really all about, to try to help everyone and to work together and share stuff with each other to help each other become better metal detectors. And that's what it is. Josh says the relic program is a great program, but it doesn't go through the iron quite as well. And I would tend to agree with Josh too. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, from what I've tested it, I don't think it's about the same depth as sensitive full tones. I mean, I don't think there's a real depth advantage to it, really, that I could see.
Right. I think so too. I think that just and like I said last weekend, the unmasking capability and the ability to get depth out of one program, that's what sold it for me. How about for you, Michael?
Yeah, I mean it's the best of both worlds, separation and death.
Right.
It's
Don't
versatile.
don't tread on me. Said he got a trime. Don't tread on me. You are breaking my heart right now.
Yeah.
Michael, have you dug a trime?
Nope, I
I
haven't.
have not either. God, that's an elusive coin for me. But he says he got a trime using sensitive full tones. He said it was about 10 inches down and just barely caught it, but it caught it. And
What did that? Well, I wonder what did that try bring up on the VDI? I was just wondering.
yeah, those things can ring up all over the place. They ring up real low too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Jeremy Duty, glad to have you in here. He says, "Hey everyone." Kenny Lowry says he tried the sweeper and found an Indian under a piece of tin in my yard. Hammered is an understatement. Wow, that is
Hmm.
so good to hear, Kenny. And we're glad that we were able to share something that a lot of you guys were able to take out and use and make some incredible finds with. So that's super to hear. Thank you for sharing that with us. That just, again, I'm a coach. So anytime that I can share something with someone and I see it coming to fruition for you guys, that's what really makes this all worthwhile to me. So those are the things that we enjoy for sure. Doug Atkins says, I was digging a field that has been pounded to death by a lot of people, and I found a 12-pound gate weight about 12 inches deep. A lot of people skipped over all the iron and pass up some really good stuff. That's true. Look, Michael, tell him about the piece of iron that I passed up probably a gazillion times. What did it turn out to be?
It's a gun.
It was a gun. It was
Yeah.
an 1857 French naval pistol. And
Right.
so, Doug, I can relate to that. I can relate to that story for sure.
Well, that
Because
12-pound gate weight could have easily been a 12-pound solid shot cannonball.
it could have been. That's right. But it all depends on what area you're in.
Right.
If you exhaust all the non-ferrous targets, eventually start digging the ferrous targets. Because again, you never know. It might be a gun. So, yeah, I missed out on an 1857 pistol because of that. DC Diggin says he's been using sensitive full tones and iron and trash for the past few weeks, and he likes it. And again, guys, you might dig a few more pieces of iron. I'm not going to lie about that, but I'll tell you the rewards and the payoffs for using sensitive full tones, I think, are well worth it. Don't you think so, Michael?
Yeah, I think so. It's like you said, you may dig a couple more pieces of iron, uh, but I mean that goes along with learning the program too.
Right.
After you use the program and learn it, I don't think you'll even do that. You can hear the iron and you can learn to determine the iron from a good signal.
Right, I agree.
And
And there are a couple of tricks that you can do to sort of help you maybe decipher whether it's iron or not. Of course, I do a turn method. You can also, sort of move your coil up a little bit, move it a little back, see if that signal changes, and then just listen. I mean, and again, I'm going to say this: 6.8 discrimination is set there for a reason, and it can help you figure out what some of that iron is. And I have run it as low as 6.4 and haven't really lost a lot. But I think 6.8 is the sweet spot. And of course, XP knows that too. That's why you'll notice that the default on the discrimination is set at 6.8, which I think you guys have sort of figured out that tends to work really, really, really well. Kenny Lowry says he's still loving the deep high conductor. Hey, Kenny, I've got a good question for you. Have you switched over to 1.1 or are you still on 0.71? I love deep high conductor in 0.71. I haven't really tried it as much in the 1.1 update. Um, so I'm hoping that I can get back to it and figure out a very good place for it. Michael, what do you think about deep high conductor?
I haven't really used it like you said in 1.1, but I used to use it a lot in 0.71, and it was a good program in 0.71. It's just I find myself running sensitive full tones more than more than any other program. I just
Right.
haven't given it the time. Probably need to go check it out a little more.
Right. And I think the two programs that I don't know, I just gravitate to the most is going to be sensitive full tones is my go-to right now. But I still love fast, and I still love, PWM audio. I still love high square audio. I still love square audio. I mean, I love all the audio features that you get, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to go through a couple more comments here because you guys are filling in and telling me a whole bunch of stuff. So Wisco Tech says they have changed something in the background because I found so many nails in version 1.1 that sounded so good. The newest version 2 seems like version 0.71. What do you think, Michael? Michael's tried 0.2. I have not upgraded or updated to 0.2. I'm still using, or 2.0. I'm still using 1.1. What do you think, Michael?
I haven't really noticed a big difference in it. I'm not sure. Of course, I hadn't. I just recently upgraded to one of my machines to 2.0, and I haven't run it a whole lot. One's still
Right.
on 1.1, but I need to compare the two next time I go out hunting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, definitely. Tesh Ridge Digger says that, and he's exactly right. Deep high conductor still using 0.71 filters.
right.
The only reason why I lean towards sensitive full tones right now is I still think the unmasking capabilities are a little better than deep high conductors. Of course, as most of you know, I mean, I hunt a lot of loaded iron sites, plantation sites that are just, carpet full of nails all the way across. And it tends to do really, really well there. But, before I was using sensitive full tones, I was using deep high conductor. You can ask anybody that was at Dig Stock with me. They'll tell you one of the programs that I was recommending at that point was Deep High Conductor. It was the best program, running it in all sorts of reactivity, setting it up however you want. It was a good, solid program. In general, was a good, solid program for me in 0.71. But I've really fallen in love with sensitive full tones, and I've always been in love with fast. So both of those have been really, really good to me. Wisco Tech says 0.71 was better for deep high conductor. I agree. I think it was for sure. No question about that. LC Hunt says sensitive full tones is great, but when the soil is damp, I use general full tones. And again, you got that ground. What do they call it? Ground subtraction, right, Mike?
Right. Yeah. Ground subtraction.
And some of my soil is very damp because I'm right by the river and I'm living near the beach. So our soil can be really, really damp. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. Josh says, I use the sweeper with 2.0. And like I said, I was pulling good targets and tough pounded ground. Thank you, Josh, for sharing that. And I just think it just unmasks better. For whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what I don't know what XP has done, but they have definitely opened up this machine in a big way with sensitive full tones. Don't you think so?
I think so. I really.
Well,
I love that program.
yeah, and Michael and I have both fallen in love with it. Don't Tread on Me says, thinking about upgrading to 2.0. The Goldfield is supposed to be killer. Yeah, it's supposed to be really good, especially if, and Don't Tread on Me, I don't know if you hunt a lot of gold, but supposedly the really small, little tiny nuggets and things like that supposed to be more sensitive in that Goldfield program with 2.0 versus 1.1. So you might want to try it and see what happens. Yes, please, guys, hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, it helps out the algorithm, helps out the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Tesh Ridge Digger says, I like the fast program for iron and modern trash. And I would agree. I love the fast program as well. So I think we've gotten all of our questions here, Michael. We've gotten a ton tonight. So one thing I did, I went out yesterday, or went out today actually, and I did a real quick video. I know it's not much, but I wanted you guys to sort of maybe hear the difference between the three audio options. So I did one with PWM, I did one with Square, and I did one with high square. So we're going to watch this video. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And we'll see which one you guys think is the best. So let's watch this video real quick. We're going to add this to our screen.
PWM audio, let's zoom in on that, and high square and how different they sound. But we'll look at all three. We'll look at PWM, square, and high square. So this is PWM. So listen to how it sounds over this seated dime. That is PWM. So now what we're going to do is we are going to switch over to square. This is square over a seated dime. That's square. And now we're going to switch over to high square. So let's see what high square sounds like. There it is, high square. So those are your audio choices. You can pick whichever one you like, whichever one sounds best for your ears. But again, Days 2 gives you a lot of options, a lot of versatility there as far as what you may want to try with audio selection. So there you go. We looked at PWM, we looked at square, we looked at high square. Decide which one do you like the best.
So what do you think, Michael? Which one did you like the best?
Well, I like the high square because it seems like it's more of a sharper tone on those high conductive targets. You know,
Right.
it really got that. It kind of reminds me of the pitch, you know, but
Okay.
you can run it in full tones. It has that, you know, that dig me sound.
Right. And again, it's all about what we like hearing in our ears. And of
Right.
course, a lot of you, I'm seeing the comments. Digging Dirt says PWM. Doug Atkins says square. Josh says square. One thing I do want to point out, I was running the audio filter at 1, which should help clean up the target. So David Frazier says PWM. I think PWM tends to have a little bit higher pitch. Did you notice that, Michael?
Yeah, I did.
And that was on a seated dime. That was on an 1876 seated dime. Wild here says he likes square. So I see a lot more square than I see. Nobody likes high square.
You had the audio offset. You had it at what, 10?
Yeah, I
For
did
that
have the
pitch?
audio offset at 10. So yeah, so just to give you guys, something to go by. Joe Dirt, he says high square, and I like high square, but it's like I said, I think it's just whatever your ears get used to. So the other day when I was hunting, I switched over to PWM and I didn't miss a beat running PWM. So again, I think a lot of you, yes, it was set, and Michael just said it was set to 10, Josh. So we see PWM. 662 says high square is growing on you, and it does take a little bit of getting used to if you're not used to doing it. Tesh Ridge Digger says high square has problems with all programs except sensitive full tones. I use square in all programs except sensitive full tones. That's interesting. I've never checked that out. But Michael, have you tried high square in some of the other programs?
It does sound a little bit different, but the way you can kind of get around that, you can adjust that equalizer, and I've adjusted the equalizer, and you can get them where they're sounding pretty close to one another, you know.
Right, and you can also adjust those tone breaks too, and that can
Right.
help as well. So you can adjust the tone breaks, you can adjust the equalizer, and you can clean that sound up pretty good using those different types of settings to make that sound however you want. David Moss says high square all the way. Ben Bob, glad to have you in here. He says hi all, and Carson Chris says I like PWM and high square. So I thought that was pretty interesting, just to listen to that audio. And now that I hear it on the video again, and I might have to listen to it again, Michael, I'm tending to lean back towards PWM again all of a sudden, but I do
I mean,
love.
I like PWM. I run it, for years on the DS1, and it's, it's familiar, and it probably is to a lot of the people on here.
Right.
So,
David Moss said, yeah, you're right about that equalizer. You can adjust that equalizer and you can make that thing sound sweet. And
right.
David Moss is exactly right. David Frazier says, the thing I like about PWM is when it's iron. And that's true too. But I can tell iron with high square pretty
Right.
good, David.
It just takes a little time with it,
It
and
does. I mean, and again, like I said, using sensitive full tones, you're going to hear a little bit more. That program's a little more sparky, a little hotter is the word that I like to use. But I think the audio on both of those, on high square or PWM or even square, I think you can get your ears attuned to either one, and
right.
it's just what you're used to. Nobody's saying, hey, you got to use this or you got to use that. It just depends on what you like. And I like high square, I like PWM, I love both of those audio settings, and I can hunt with square too, I'm sure, and it would be fine. So Tony Maston's in here. Glad to have you, Tony. You're okay. You can go back and watch the replay, Tony, but we appreciate you being here as well. So we've been talking about the audio, and Michael found out something, and I was going to make a video, but I ran out of time. Like I said, I teach, I coach, I get home, I try to do all this right before, within about a matter of an hour to try to set up everything. But Michael found something pretty interesting. So I'm going to let Michael talk about the silencer. Michael, tell him about the silencer.
What I found on the silencer, on sensitive full tones, you can really, in iron, you can, we've always run it at 1,
Right.
and you can get by with 2, and in some cases 3, but once you get above 3, it really shuts everything down. 4, I wouldn't even attempt to run 4. But, on some of the other programs like fast, sensitive, deep high conductor, the you really had to run it. Let's see, around. Well, I would even run it 0 to 1. I don't believe I would go above 1. It's on a different scale on those programs. For some reason, I mean, I guess it's just because that program was left over from 1.00, but it's set up differently. Those between the 0.71 filter and the 1.00 filters.
Right. So you're saying that, and he and I talked about this extensively, but you're saying that in sensitive full tones, once you go above 2, it basically wipes out everything, correct?
Well, 3 above 3,
Above 3.
you can
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
you can still, but in the other programs, if you go above 2, it seems like it's one notch um, more you can get away with in
Right.
sensitive full tones and still
Yeah.
hit the target.
And I found that really interesting because you and I have talked about this, was that's the only program left on the DS2 that still has the 1.0 filters.
Right.
And when you get above the 3 silencer, it just basically all just disappears. Correct, Michael?
Right. That's what I saw. Yeah. If you
Right.
go above 3, you lose your mass target and the iron. So.
Right. And that was with, when you just said it, that was with a target and the iron out there together, right?
Right. Yeah. A
Okay.
mass
Yeah.
target.
Right. So, but anyway, I find that interesting. So, in the other programs, Michael, what were you seeing there?
Um, if I had to say, I wouldn't run them above 1. We used to run the silencer at 0. I did in 0.71,
Right.
and I think it's pretty much the same way as 0.71. 0 to 1 is where you need to run the other programs.
Right. And again, guys, the silencer that Michael and I both tend to lean towards is one. On sensitive full tones, we're running one silencer. You could drop it down to 0,
Yeah,
but you're probably going to dig more iron, right, Michael?
I think you will. I think really on sensitive full tones, you really need to run at least one, I think.
Right. I think so too. I think Michael's exactly right. Test Ridge Digger says in pitch high square mode, strong targets close to the coil will be less sharp and softened compared to square. All right. That's a good thing to know, Test Ridge Digger. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that. Ben Boggs talking about the silencer too as well. He says the silencer equals 0. He said 1 is the max that he would run it. And that's what we just said too. You could run it at 0. You're opening it up a little more. You're not having as much filter to it, so naturally that's definitely going to help. Josh says I only run silencer past 1 on the beach and then bump to 3. And Josh, which program are you using on the beach when you bump to 3? That would be my question. Blasted Cat's on here. Glad to have you on here, Blasted Cat. He says, I ran your programs on my 1820 home site in North Florida today. Very heavy in nails from the burned down homes. Worked great. Thanks. Blasted Cat, we're glad to help. That's what we're here for, is to try to share and help get the most out of our detectors and get the most out of the Deus too. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. So it looks like maybe on the beach you might be able to get away with running that silencer a little higher, Michael. But I can understand that because on the beach you're not dealing with, you're really not dealing with a lot of iron. Now there are some beaches that do have iron on them, but most of the time you're not dealing with tons and tons of iron. The silencer basically opens up the window. Once you run it lower, it's going to open up that window even more to iron. You run it a little bit higher, it closes that window to iron. And that's the way I've always thought of it. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, it's similar to the way the Manicore is operating, with the upper and the lower Ferris limits.
Right.
It's similar to that. You're opening it up. If you go higher,
Right.
it's,
Carson Chris has got one. He says that he has run sensitive full tones to -6.4. Now, I did do that, Carson Chris, with my original Deus, with the Deus 1. I'm just not so sure that running negative numbers on the discrimination is really helping you that much in iron. In fact, it may be hurting you running it down that low with the Deus 2. Now, Deus 1, it actually opened up that machine, and it's opening up the machine. But when you start to run that discrim that low, it can be problematic. But hey, if it works for you, do it. That's the way I've always been. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, you tend to hear a lot of the ground mineralization and stuff. You go in the negative numbers, but yeah, some people like to hear that.
Yeah, some people, like I said, you can get away with it, but it could cause problems, especially in the unmasking capabilities. I think once you start running that discrimination that low. But I do know some people that do that, but for me, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I usually run at 6.8. That's what I have adjusted a little bit lower. Like you said, 6.4 and.
Right. Well, I ran my Deus 1 at negative numbers sometimes. I
did
used to hunt it. I used to hunt with it in negative numbers, but I think 6.8 is the sweet spot on this machine. And again, you might be able to lower it down to 6.4, and I think it works really, really well. I just can't get away with running it down below that. It's just, I don't know. I struggle with it a lot. So I agree. Josh says beach sensitive. This is a response to me. Beach sensitive opened way up, 0 dis, 1 bottle cap, salt sensitivity at 8, ground tracking on pitch, notch 0 to 15. Josh, what are those beaches like? Are they? I'm assuming you're telling me there's iron on those beaches. So that would be interesting. Be real interesting. Tesh Ridge Digger says silencer 0 to 2 are the best for separation and iron. I think so too. I'm with you on that. Silencer 3 or above, you lose separation, and only pure targets will come through. And that's what Michael and I just said. So Josh said he's running the reactivity 1. So Josh is running his program on the beach. He's running that thing really hot. So, but Josh apparently is finding some really good things with it. So that's something too you may want to try. There you go, Josh. You just got an order. Thank you, Double G Diggs, for ordering from Josh. We appreciate Josh too. LC Hunt says, I run general full tones at minus 6.4, and he feels that it helps with the falsing. So, but again, I haven't used general in full tones, and I haven't run the discriminant down that low. So, Michael, maybe that is something we might ought to try. I'm hearing a couple of people on here minus 6.4.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we can get away with it. What's that?
Yeah, that'd be something to try.
I think so. I mean, maybe you can get away with it. I know, like I said, the original Deus I did run negative numbers. Now I haven't really tried it on the Deus 2. But maybe that's something I should give a try. LC and Carson have both said they've run minus 6.4, and they've had some success with it. So maybe that's something we can try in some of these heavily loaded iron sights. We can give it a shot for sure. So there you go, Josh. And Josh says, thank you. Double G Diggs. Appreciate it. Prospectors Cash says, I think all you need to learn is how to adjust reactivity for your group using sensitive full tones. The rest you can leave stock. I play with offsets and sensitivity, but pretty much the rest is stock. And that's pretty much what I've done in a lot of cases too. Prospectors Cash is just, adjust the reactivity. I changed a couple of the audio settings. The offset, again, like you said, and I think that works very, very good. Josh says that, oh, yes, Galveston, mostly military base and occupied since the 1800s, digging nickels 15-inch regularly. Oh, wow. 15 inches, Michael. What do you think about that? So he's hitting pretty deep, but he's running a hot program. Yeah. I don't know that I could get away with it on a relic site, but I might be able to get away with it on the beach. So he might be on to something. Definitely. Thanks, Josh, for sharing that. We really appreciate it. Carson Chris says the negatives make the iron relics pop. So, Carson Chris, when you were telling me those settings, are you looking for iron relics? Is that why you were running it that low on a relic site? That's my next question. I don't know that I could get away with it running on a relic site though, minus 6.4. But if it's working for him, I'll give it a shot. I'll definitely try it out for sure. 662 says, I might be wrong, but I believe the default disk and sensitive full tones for version 0.71 was set at minus 6.4. Can someone that hasn't updated confirm? So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't run mine down that low. Have you run yours that low, Mike?
I haven't. No, I haven't. Haven't. And he may be right. I can't remember now.
No, I can't remember either. I don't, because like I said, I never ran negative numbers. So that's something I do not know. Somebody on here might be able to answer that. That's a great question. 662. Thank you for sharing that. Josh says, thank God that I have an extreme scoop to dig those deep dark 15 inches. Yeah, you're digging. And if it's wet sand, that's some tough digging too on the beach. So yeah, that's really, really cool. Josh says that he's looking for iron relics. I love relic or Goldfield. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for iron relics, yeah, running that negative number might be nice, right, Michael?
Right. Yeah. I think that would work pretty good.
Yeah. Tesh Ridge Digger says 0.71 is set at minus 6.4. So there you go. Thanks, Tesh Ridge Digger. Appreciate you sharing that with us. And Carson Chris says, I like the iron relics, but it also finds high mid-conductors in thick iron. So he's saying that it works in thick iron. That's just really hot for sure. But hey, I might give it a shot just to see for sure. Elsie Hunt says manual says sensitive full tones is minus 6.4. So here's the next question. Is the discrimination lower on sensitive full tones than it is on the other programs?
On version 1.0 and up, it's not.
Yeah. So that's interesting. That makes you wonder.
But
David Frazier says, I have broken 2 scoops in wet sand. Yeah, that wet sand can be brutal, especially if you're digging 15 inches down. And that'll wear you down in a hurry, especially if you go that deep. Carson Chris said he has the iron volume turned all the way up. And boy, you're hearing a lot at minus 6.4 for sure. Yeah, I know. So that's interesting, very interesting. So thank you guys for sharing that, because again, we're all trying things, we're all trying to learn things. If running minus 0.6.4 is helping some of you guys, then I'm curious as to what it might do. And on some of my sites, and again, most of my sites are really heavily loaded with iron, and a lot of the sites that Michael hunts are very heavily loaded with iron as well. And LC Hunt said yes, that I believe that was on 0.71, Michael.
Yeah, 0.71.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, that is correct. So yeah, Tesh Digger says is minus 6. Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically taking everything out. I mean, you're taking just about everything, iron, anything.
Right.
And you're hunting in pretty much really an all metal mode. Probably more like a pulse induction machine at that point, right, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, you're hearing,
You're
pretty
hearing
much
ground.
everything.
But the thing is, though, if you've got any mineralization in the ground and you're running that thing at minus 6.4, your ears are going to be wore out running it that low. So, but that's curious. I'm curious about that. So maybe I'll try that and see what happens with it for sure. Prospector's Cash says that sounds like torture. And it might be. I get ear fatigue sometimes on all the iron that I hear sometimes, and I'll even turn my iron volume all the way down. So 662 says, if you look back at my video where I dug the 1834 cat bust, I was running 0.71 in a pounded iron sight with it set to minus 6.4. What you think, Michael?
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I know they changed a lot with the sensitive full tones on 1.0 and 1.1, and for some reason they decided to default it to 6.8.
Yeah, Ben Boggs said right here, mineralized soil, he says run 0.0, otherwise it'll drive you nuts with false signals. I'm just not sure if it's not going to drive me nuts with false signals, but I'll definitely give it a shot, guys, because if you guys are having success with it, then there's definitely something to it for sure. Carson Chris says, I think the iron volume at 8 helps counteract the falsing on nails. Now, that's the first I've heard of that. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that's the first I've heard. I've got where I run mine at 7. I started out at 5, but that's another thing they've changed. They've changed that iron volume adjustment. There's more segments to it, and 7 sounds good to me now.
Right. Yeah, I mainly leave it at 7. Sometimes I'll turn it down, or sometimes I'll turn it all the way off, especially if I'm in a really, really bad site. David Frazier says, I found myself looking for iron now, iron to activate. Oh, there you go. Heather wants to know what numbers are rings on the MindLab Xterra Pro, and I'm assuming she's talking about gold rings. Those things can ring up really low. I dug a gold ring with my Xterra Pro that rang up a 4. So, if that's any idea, but the MindLab machines are set up so differently with that scale that there can be low numbers, it can be mid-teens in some cases. So that Xterra Pro, they can be really low. So don't pass up on a really low number, a 2 or a 4 or a 6. Those numbers could turn out to be gold rings using the Xterra Pro. Josh says, what do you guys think about the 11 versus the 9 in that heavy iron? Well, Josh, I'm going to be honest with you. I've used all 3 coils on a very heavily loaded iron site, and they've all performed really, really well. The 13-inch did extremely well. The 11 did really well, and the 9 did really well. But what I'm finding is, I guess it's because of ground coverage and depth, maybe a little bit with those larger coils, that sometimes I'll find things that I missed with the 9. What do you think about that, Michael?
Well, it's the size of the coil and the amount of. I guess it all depends on the amount of iron that is under that particular coil. 11 to 9 doesn't sound like a lot, but there could be just enough overlapping iron on that coil where you could hear a target you wouldn't hear with the 9, and vice versa.
Right. Yeah, and that's
So
what I've been saying. If you got all 3 coils, it would be best to go back into if you got the opportunity to go back into a site, would be to try to use all 3 coils and then hunt it with all 3. And then go back in and run some different settings on that site, to try to get the maximum amount of stuff out of those sites, running it in that way. But I think all 3 are really good at unmasking. I think all 3 have its purpose. I think all 3 are really deep. I think you get more ground coverage with the 13 and the 11. And you could possibly miss a target, because you're using a smaller coil in some cases. So that's just what I think. But I like all 3. I mean, I really do. And I've used all 3, and I've had really good success with all 3 coils, the 13, the 11, and the 9. Hopefully that answers your question, Josh. So Heather says, I thought it was 89. She's talking about the Xterra Pro, but yeah, those numbers for gold can ring up low. And the Xterra Pro, the VDI and the target ID, it can be a little bit shaky on that machine. And I know Bells is on here, and she can probably tell you a little bit about what her husband saw with the Xterra. But yeah, it can be a little bit shaky as well. And Ben Boggs says that 10K will ring lower on gold. So we've got a lot of comments coming in here, Michael. I'm trying to keep up. Double G Dig says, how many folks use the dive program at the beach waist deep? I find it quieter, but it does use more of the battery. Look, I love the dive program. I think the dive program for the beach is probably one of the deeper programs that you can run on a saltwater beach, especially. And getting into the water, definitely it's a no-brainer running the dive. And I've run it with full tones, and I love it with full tones. I've run it with high square. I set my salt sensitivity at about 7, and I've had some pretty good luck running dive. I love dives. So Double G Diggs, if that answers your question, I think dive's a real good program to use, especially in the water for sure. Josh says, 11 has seemed the best depth and separation for me. I'm starting to use the 9 only in modern trash. And again, Josh, I don't think you go wrong either way. So I think you can use either one of those programs or either one of those coils, and you're going to have really good success. And they're situational type things too. The 9 maybe in the heaviest of trash or the heaviest of iron, and then go back after you've hit it a bunch with the 9, and then go back with the 11, and then after the 11, go back with the 13 if you have all 3. And I guarantee you're still going to find stuff, because there's always something that it seems like some of those coils are going to miss. Right. Don't you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think so. And it's as far as the 11 and the 13, I tend to slow down hunting a little bit. I kind of like running the 11 in the iron just because it kind of forces me to slow down a little bit more in that
exactly.
iron.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, Michael, and tell them what we found out. We definitely don't like going from the 9 to the 13, do we, buddy?
Yeah, you want to start out with the 13 first, and then go to the 9 because it's yeah, it's a
it's
big difference.
it's not a lot of fun. Eton Beach Treasure says she's enjoying the chat, opinions, and advice. So we appreciate them being here tonight. Mad Max Metal Detecting says, "What's up from East Tennessee?" He's an East Tennessee dirt pirate. Glad to have you in here, Mad Max. DC Diggins says, "I just got the 13 and liking the coverage. Don't have to be right over a deep target." That's true. You can get away with a lot. It's sort of like a big-headed golf club. And I used to work in a golf shop when I first got out of college, and that's when the big headed golf clubs came out, and you could miss really bad and still hit a pretty straight shot with those big headed clubs, and I sort of equate that to the same thing that the 13-inch coil is doing for the Deus too. You don't necessarily have to be right over the target for it to pick it up. And it's got a wide range. I mean, it'll pick up things off to the side too, in some cases. So I think the field is actually expanded with that 13. What do you think, Michael?
I think it does. And it to me, it sounds like it amplifies the signals at depth.
Right.
They really stand out with that coil.
Right. Heather Norman says, "I haven't had the MindLab Xterra Pro for very long. It is a recent buy." You're going to enjoy the Xterra Pro, especially if you're trying it out on a beach. I think it's a good machine, and for the price, you really can't go wrong with it. If it's your first machine, it's a great first machine as well. So we hope you have a lot of success with it, Heather, and we hope you'll be back on our channel. And we'll be glad to talk, MindLab machines, Nocta machines, Garrett machines, whatever machines there are that are out there. We'll be glad to talk about them as well. I know most of the people on here are XP Deus 2 users, but we love talking about the other machines as well. So we appreciate you being here. Joe Dirt says, and I'm getting behind. Ben Boggs says, I want a small coil for the Deus 2. Then it's open season on hunted out trash parts. Yeah, we're all waiting on that small coil. I think that's going to be huge. Belle says that her husband used the Xterra Pro twice. He decided that it wasn't for him. But again, I think Belle's husband is a pretty experienced metal detectorist. But for somebody that's just starting, it's probably not a bad deal. Mad Max says he sees a lot of people selling their Manicores, and that may be the case, Mad Max. The Manicore is a good machine. I can't use it in iron. That's my only problem with the machine. So, Heather, and we're glad you're still learning your machine. Just be patient with it. Stay focused with it. Try to learn everything you can about the machine, and just get used to hearing the sounds and the tones, and it'll all click, I promise you. Joe Dirt says, "I have a very specific site that has a lot of rusty bolts, all shallow, found clad right next to the bolts. Discrimination 6.4. There you go, Michael. I said 6.4 is what I have run it the lowest at and had success. So 6.4 you can get away with for sure. Bell says, "Hey, Heather, that's the best thing you can do. That is what everyone needs to do." Exactly. You get familiar with your machine, learn your detector, learn all the tones, learn the settings, just play around with it. When I first got my Deus 2, one of the things that I would do is I would just sit on the couch and I would just go through the menus, just getting familiar with everything. How about you, Michael? When you got your Deus 2, how did you learn it?
I read the menu, or read the manual, and
Right.
I just got out and played with it, and I got a test card, and I ran it through the test card, and I done a few tests with it, and
Right.
A test card is it's a if you can make one, it's a valuable thing to have, especially if you have different
It can
detectors.
be, because it can provide very useful data for a lot of the sites that you're going to be hunting, because it's mainly similar to the dirt that most of you
Right.
are hunting anyway. And so, you get used to hearing those sounds. So if you do have a test card, that's always a good thing to have. Heather said that she bought hers and got a free silver quarter from 1967. Well, there you go. All right. Mad Max says that he's torn between the Equinox 900 and the Manicore. What do you think about those two machines, Michael?
Well, if I had to choose, I would probably get the Manicore, I think.
Yeah, the Manicore is a good machine, guys.
Right.
It's probably one of the easiest machines that I've ever picked up and just been able to go out and start hunting with. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The screen is beautiful. The sounds are pretty good. And if you like Mind Lab machines, then the Manicore is the one that I would strongly suggest. Versus all those others. But the Equinox is a great machine. I found you can go back and watch some of my older videos. Found tons of stuff with the Equinox 800. Love that machine. Great machine. I dug a ton of silver with it. Dug a lot of great Civil War finds with it. But the Deus 2 is just my baby right now for sure. So Mark D says, noticed a nice difference with version 2.0 bone conducting headphones. Now utilizes the equalizer. Yes, in 2.0, they definitely upgraded the equalizer settings for the bone conduction headphones. So, boy, we got a lot of comments here. Bell says, Mad Max, it seems like people either like the Manicore or they don't. My husband has one, but hasn't used it much. He uses his Deus mostly. Thank you for sharing that, Bells. Heather wants to know, Bells, what's way WTG means way to go, Heather, on finding that 1967 quarter. So that's what WTG means. And Bell says, yes, that's what it means, way to go. So again, we appreciate everyone being on here and sharing their finds and sharing their experiences with their metal detectors. So let's see. Yeah, Mad Max says, "Hey Bells, I'm Team Mind Lab." And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We love Mind Lab machines. Like I said, Michael's used a Mind Lab machine. Equinox 800 was a fantastic machine. We just prefer the Deus 2 for the sites that we're hunting in our area. So very, very good. Heather, the Xterra Pro is waterproof. You can take it into the water, and you can get waterproof headphones for it too, as well, if you want to do that. Digging Dirt says, got a jet date with my wife. Happy hunting, y'all. Appreciate you being here tonight, Digging Dirt. Let's see here. We're going through. Eton Beach Treasure says, we have a Mind Lab and enjoy hearing about others as not stuck on one brand. Right. And that's the way to be. If something comes out better than the Deus 2, then I would use it. Michael would probably do the same. But XP has just made such a fantastic machine that's the machine that we prefer using right now. So again, that's it, pretty much for us. David Frazier said he was on the list of Manicore, but ended up getting the 900. And he says that he uses his Deus 2 more. I do. I would too, to be honest with you. But again, it depends on a lot of the sites you hunt, what type of hunting you're doing. If you're hunting on the beach, so on, hunting trashy parks, all of them have their strengths. Let's just put it that way. And they're all good machines. I mean, we live in a fantastic time where most of these machines that are being put out right now are super machines. And you can go out and you can hunt anywhere with these machines as well. So, again, we are living in a really good time with some really, really good technology going on. So, Michael, what do you think would be your next machine? If you didn't have the Deus 2, what would be another machine that you would choose?
I would probably go with the Manicore. If there was no Deus 2, I would probably go with the Manicore. I mean, I've used the Manicore, and it has some great features. But I'm pretty happy with my Deus 2 now. I'm glad they come out with that machine.
Yeah,
That's something we look forward to for a while. Anybody that had a Deus 1, we wondered when the next Deus was going to come out, and they didn't disappoint. So.
No, they did not disappoint at all with the Deus 2 for sure. Wisco Detect says, I felt so bad because my brother bought me my Knox 800 for my birthday 2 years ago. I used it for 3 months and pre-ordered my Deus 2 and have not looked back. Right. And again, the Deus 2 is just a very strong machine. It's probably one of the most versatile machines, and we all know that on here. You can just do so much with it. You can dive with it. You can beach hunt with it. You can relic hunt with it. You can park hunt with it. You can coin shoot hunting with it. You can do all those things, and it does all of those things pretty doggone well. Don't you agree, Mike?
Yeah, we've had the 800. I've had one. You've had one. Calabash, and we've made some great finds with that
Right.
machine. And I mean, it's but like you said, if the better machine comes out, that's what we always trying to find that advantage,
Yeah.
especially hunting an iron.
Yeah, everybody wants that advantage, you know.
Right.
So that's really, really good. So speaking of other machines, one thing that I did want to point out, because we've talked about MindLab machines. Of course, we've been talking about Deus 2 machines. But one thing that I wanted to mention is the Nocta machines. So of course, the AccuPoint pinpointer has come out, and I think they're now starting to ship those pinpointers. So you can start maybe pre-ordering them if you're interested in the AccuPoint. They've got those available now, and you can start ordering those if you are interested in the AccuPoint. I love my MI6, but I think the AccuPoint's going to be a pretty good pinpointer too. What do you think, Michael?
I like the features on it and the looks of it. I just wonder, is there anyone on here that has got the AccuPoint pinpointer? And
Right,
if so, how do you like it?
right. So I'd be curious to know if there's anybody on here that's gotten one too. So again, and you can see the Nocta website popping up. Heather wants to know, hey, can the control box on the Xterra Pro go all the way in the water? Yes, it can. You can. I think it goes 16 feet, if I'm not
16
mistaken.
feet. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go in the water with the Xterra Pro. I've got an Xterra Pro, Heather. In fact, it's actually back here behind me. But I have dunked it in the water. So yes, you can go in the water. You can get a pair of waterproof headphones for that machine, and you can go out there and you can buy. I think they've got like a cheap pair that I bought that you can buy off of eBay. Plug right in, go in the water, and have fun with it. Yeah, so definitely you can sync that Xterra Pro. So there are a lot of. Let's put this back up here. There are a lot of promotions going on right now with the Nocta machines. You buy Legend, you get a free Bluetooth headphones. You can buy the Legend with the wireless headphones. You get an AccuPoint pinpointer. Let's go back to that. You buy the Legend Pro Pack, which you get like everything almost, starter pack, and you get a. Oops, let me go back. What does it say? You get an AccuPoint pinpointer and the starter pack if you buy the Legend Pro Pack. So that's pretty cool. You buy the Simplex Bluetooth. I'm having to keep going back because they got this thing but on flip. But if you buy the Simplex Bluetooth, you get a starter pack. You buy the Simplex Ultra, you get an AccuPoint pinpointer for only $79.99, and those retail for $159.99. You buy the Simplex Ultra with wireless headphones, and you get an AccuPoint only and the starter pack for free. So you get the AccuPoint for $79.99 with the Simplex Ultra with the wireless headphones. So these are some of the deals that Nocta's running. I believe they're running those to the end of the year. So, those are some things that you can look at. Here's the AccuPoint, which you guys can see here. I think that Nocta did a real good job by making this Bluetooth. What do you think about the pinpointer, Michael?
I mean, I'm curious to see, will that pinpointer, uh, can you use that with any of the Mind Lab 800? I don't know about the 900 and the 700, but will it connect with an 800, the Bluetooth on it? That if so, that would be a good option. You know, I like
Yeah.
the looks of the pinpointer. It's got a lot of good features on it.
I do too, and I'm really interested in the simplex machines too. Even though they're single frequency machines, if you're a land hunter and you want a good machine that's going to be deep and has solid ID, I really like these simplex machines. The Ultra is the one that I like, and if you guys go check out my channel, you can see how deep the simplex Ultra is on a 12-inch dime, and look at the ID on that video. That ID was really stable. So
Hmm.
Nocta has really done a great job with the Simplex, and that Simplex Ultra is pretty impressive, hitting that quarter that deep and locking in with the ID, and the ID being very, very, very stable. So, and then of course the Legend. You know, they got all these promotions going on the Legend, but you definitely, you know, if you're interested in a multi-frequency machine at a good price with some good deals, then this might not be a bad machine maybe for Christmas as a backup machine, or if you're just starting out, the Legend is not a bad machine either. And at $499, I think that's a pretty good deal. What do you think, Michael?
I think it is. I think it's the best deal, you know, out right now as far as multi-frequency. You know, now
Sure.
that may change, you know, when they had the score and the double score, you know,
Right.
because
Yeah,
they're
and
going to be a little cheaper.
that score and that double score are coming up real soon, or coming out really soon. So I'll be interested in those. The double score has a little more features than the score. So look for those coming from Nocta real soon. So we got some comments coming in here, Michael. Let's see here. Um, Ricky Bennett wants to know, Brian, will you have those Nocta promos on your Amazon site? I don't know that they're running them through Amazon. And by the way, too, I have to mention this because Amazon will get me. I do make commission off of the Amazon store. So I do get commissions from anything that you buy off the Amazon store. So I have to mention that. So again, you can see it down here, down at the bottom. If you are interested in a machine, or you're interested in a pinpointer, bag, all sorts of accessories, check out my Amazon affiliate store, which is down at the bottom. I don't know that they're running those specials on the Amazon site. So you might have to go to a dealer. There are a couple. I use Detecting Clay. High Plains Prospector can really give you a good deal too, which he has some great products as well to show. Yes, the pinpointer is the Nocta AccuPoint pinpointer is done very well, and they're selling these things like hotcakes because we really haven't seen a new pinpointer come out in a while, have we, Michael?
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess the last one, well, Mine Lab had the Profine 40, you know,
Right.
and then they had, uh, we got this new one from Nocta here, and you know, I like the Nocta one better, to tell you the truth, than the Profine 40, and there's more features.
No, it does. It's got tons of features, and if you
Yeah.
own the Legend, it connects with the Legend, so you can use the pinpointer to connect to your Legend headphones,
Yes.
which is really cool. Sort of like the XP Deus 2 does with the MI6 pinpointer. So again, that's a pretty neat feature. So if you have a Legend and you want to get a pinpointer, this thing will connect to those headphones. And then again, the Ultra, which I like the Simplex, very lightweight machine, and the Simplex machine is going to be fairly light. I think the Score is going to be fairly light. So if you're looking for a lighter machine than the Legend, then you might want to look at the Simplex Ultra or the Score. If you want a multi-frequency machine, then naturally I would wait till the Score comes out as well. Jake Paul says, I have an Xterra Pro. If you run the stock coil with the VDI is so jumpy that it's unusable. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I saw with it the couple of times that I've used it out on the beach and used it actually relic hunting. The VDI can be a little bit jumpy. Yeah, it doesn't lock on like the Equinox machines do. But again, it's a $269 machine, so it's not quite there as far as locking on the targets with the VDI. But it's still a good machine for a beginner machine for sure.
And it is updatable. So who knows? They could
Yeah,
release a update and could help
right.
it
Yeah.
out.
Who knows what'll happen with the Xterra, but I've got one. I've enjoyed swinging it. I've used it a few times out on the beach, and I've used it out playing around out in my yard. And I don't think it's that bad. I like the way it looks too. It's got a really clean look to it, and the
Yeah.
orange screen is pretty cool too. So definitely a good machine. Wisco Detect says DS2 hands down is the best all around VLF. I did the test program for not the program with the AcuPoint, and he says that he really liked it. So there you go.
Hmm.
So Wisco Detect says that the AcuPoint is a good one. Again, I have not used one. So Wisco Detect, I'm glad you shared that with us. So again, he's saying it gets a thumbs up from Wisco, and Wisco does a lot of detecting and knows his stuff. So, well, we'll have to take his word for it. But he says that he's still running his MI6 though. No worries. So the
Right.
MI6 is a tough one to beat, and with your Deus too, you just it's a killer. It's a killer pinpointer for sure. Ben Boggs says, put the Coltech 10x5 on the Xterra Pro, killer setup and trashy parts. And that's what I've heard too. I've been looking for one of those Coltech coils. So maybe
I had one for my 800, and I wish I would have kept it.
yeah.
It was a great coil, that
Yeah,
ten by
and
five.
I've heard that too. So, the Coltech coil definitely is one that could be really nice to add to the Xterra. But I mean, Coltech coil, pretty nice for sure. Bell says you might have to try that in Bach. All right. Well, hey, Michael, we've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes. This has been a long show tonight. I usually try to keep it around an hour, a little over an hour. So I think it's about time for us to head out of here. Guys, I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully, you got something from the show. I think we went over a lot of stuff tonight. We talked about discrimination. We talked about possibly running negative discrimination. We
Right.
talked about the sweeper program. We looked over some fines. We talked about the audio for the Deus 2 with high square and square and PWM. So we went through the whole gamut of a lot of different things, and it was fun. Michael, you got anything else you want to talk about, or anything else you want to add to the show?
Yeah, I mean there were some great finds this week, and we hope to see more. Come rolling in as we get in more into the relic season. But I enjoy seeing those finds, and I hope everybody has a good week and a good weekend, rest of the week and weekend, and maybe you can get out and find some stuff this weekend.
Right. And I appreciate all you guys trying out the settings and the sweeper program and sharing those finds with me. Because again, that I get the most gratification out of that, knowing that that thing is working for you guys. Because again, we try to share as much information as we can with you guys and try to help and all of us sort of figure out what are some of the things that we can use and take out in the field. So again, I appreciate you guys so much for sharing those things. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Before you leave, hit that like button. We need it. We're trying to grow this channel. Share the channel linked video with all of your friends, anybody that's interested in metal detecting. Let them know about our show. If you got some great finds, again, you can share your finds, and we'll be glad to put those up at the beginning of the show, sransc@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to get your finds up on the show. And anything you guys want to talk about, we're going to talk about and try to help everyone, learn and share information as much as we can. So I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. Michael, I know appreciates you guys being here. We enjoy hanging out, talking metal detecting with you guys, and we're going to have another great show coming up for you guys real soon, which hopefully we'll be back to our normal Friday night next Friday, which I may be out of town, but I'm going to try to make it work from my location. So hopefully I'll be able to come back next Friday with you guys and have another show. If not, we might move to Thursday because looks like a lot of you like Thursday night. So we really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you again. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button before you leave if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Check out all the adventures on the channel, all the videos. Check those things out. We would appreciate it. You can also check out my Amazon affiliate store. Remember that I do get commission from Amazon. So if you do, click on that link and you go to that site. There's all sorts of great stuff on there for you guys to purchase. So again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Go out and find some amazing things. Come back, share those things with me on the email, and let's get together again next week for another fun live stream. All right, Michael, I'm ready to head out. How about you, buddy?
I'm ready. Y'all have a good night.
All right, y'all have a great night. We will catch you guys on our next adventure. Thank y'all so much for being here. We will talk with you guys really, really, really soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Night.